Most private security agency owners do not realize what the competition in the industry is actually doing to their private security agency. They also don't know why are they competing in the first place and what is the solution. And these are the exact things that we are going to discuss in this video. And trust me, the solution is not what you think. So we'll start by first understanding what the competitive landscape really looks like. Currently, there are 27,000 plus licensed private security agencies in India. As we speak, this number is inching closer to 28,000. You can assume that there are 3 to 5 times more unlicensed private security operators. So 28,000 licensed and 3 to 5 times more unlicensed private security agencies in the market operational right now. Then other private security agencies are not the only competition for you. Tech-driven solutions are also putting a downward pressure on manpower deployment. So if you as a private security agency still depend on headcount-driven models, which would most likely be the case, then you are not just competing with other private security agencies, but also with security technology. And then there are intense price wars everywhere. Security as a service, unfortunately, not just in India but around the globe, has been commoditized. Has been commoditized to an extent where there is no real room to play. So this is the current competitive landscape. But what is it really doing to your private security agency? It is actually forcing your private security agency to start competing in a race to the bottom. Now, what is this race to the bottom? That's what I'll explain in this slide. See, clients can't see real differentiation. I keep telling this to my clients and to the people I speak to that security as a function is not like a packet of chips that you hold it and you open it and you eat it and then you can decide whether or not you like it. Security is intangible. It can only be felt, it can only be perceived, and that will also happen over time. So for clients to see real differentiation on day one of your operations is extremely difficult. So what does this lead to? This leads to PSAs undercutting each other to win bids. So understand this, that now private security agencies are not able to tangibly differentiate themselves from the other thousands of private security agencies. So what they resort to is actually undercutting each other on the price to win that particular contract. Now what this leads to is that quality takes a backseat. So naturally, when a private security agency has to undercut on its pricing, which means that it is not being paid enough for the kind of resources that it wanted to deploy, that PSA will be forced to give lower quality resources. So therefore, quality takes a backseat. And then what does this lead to? This leads to price becoming the only battlefield. Again, from the very first point, right? Since clients don't see tangible differentiation, private security agencies start competing on price, which is actually the race to the bottom, right? Because how much of a discount can you offer? Somebody offers a 8% service charge. You try and offer 5%. There will be 10 more players who are ready to offer 3% service charge. Eventually, there will be somebody who is willing to do this contract for near about 0% service charge, and that's the reality of the market. So for us to get to the solution, there are a few steps. We have to understand deeply that why this competitive landscape exists in the first place. What are the root causes? What is the psyche of the client? Why are they behaving in a particular manner? And then we'll move to a solution, which I've told you is not what you think, right? So before we get to this concept of the circle of distrust, I want you to understand this technical piece. I'll begin by showing you your revenue curve, right? So on the x-axis, you see number of security guards deployed. And on the y-axis, you see your private security agency's revenue. Naturally, as the number of security guards deployed increases, your revenue will increase. So this is how your revenue curve looks. Now, in conjunction to this revenue curve, we must also look at the cost curve of your end client. This is the cost curve of the end client. Again, on the x-axis, you have number of guards deployed, and this time on the y-axis, you have cost to the client. So essentially, the more number of guards deployed on ground, the more cost the client has to bear. So it is now obvious that your revenue curve is actually the client's cost curve, which means that the moment you try to optimize or maximize your own revenue, you end up maximizing the cost to the client. And the fact is that your end client knows this. So what happens whenever a private security agency makes a recommendation of, let's say, putting X number of guards on the ground, the end client is thinking that this private security agency is trying to earn more at my expense because his revenue curve is my cost curve. So they will come back with an arbitrary negotiation on the number of guards that you have to deploy. If you have started with a recommendation of, let's say, 10 guards, they'll come back saying do the job in 5 guards. Essentially, due to this fact, your end clients don't trust you. That is the beginning of the circle of distrust. So as we have established, your clients don't trust you. What happens next? That your clients don't want to pay you enough. Now, when I say pay you enough, it has multiple aspects. One, they won't let you deploy the right number of security guards on ground, which you are recommending as a security expert. So they don't want to pay you enough for the resources needed for their particular site. Second is that they will give you very harsh payment terms. It is no hidden fact that in the private security industry, the working capital cycle is elongated. The requirements are really, really heavy because most often clients will offer you payment terms of 60 days to even 90 days. So they will not let you deploy adequate resources. They will give you harsh payment terms. Then they will also negotiate with you on the service charge. If you are trying to ask for, let's say, 8 to 10% of service charge, they will try to get that contract down to, let's say, 3 to 5% of service charge to begin with, right? So your clients don't trust you, they don't want to pay you enough, and then you must compromise or lose to competition. We have already seen the competitive landscape. It is cutthroat, right? Thousands of private security agencies competing on price, nobody focusing on quality, ready to take away that contract from your private security agency by undercutting you. So if you don't compromise and agree to the unfavorable terms offered by your end clients, you will be replaced. There are so many other people who will do this contract, right? So you must compromise or lose to competition. This leads to the last stage, which is bad quality input leads to bad quality output. Let's say you are a genuine private security agency who is actually recommending the right number of security guards to be deployed based on your risk assessment of your end client's facility. But since your end client doesn't trust you, they do not let you deploy those many guards. So let's say you wanted 10 guards on ground, they only let you deploy 5 guards, and you must compromise, as we have seen. So you start working with 5 guards. Now a facility which required 10 guards to be secured adequately to begin with is now functioning with only 5 guards. And since the payment terms are harsh, you as a private security agency would most likely give them lower quality resources as well, right? So not only is the number lesser than recommended, the quality of resources is also lower than what it should be, which essentially leads to a lower quality output, right? There's a simple concept in business called garbage in, garbage out, which means that if you give a bad quality input, you will receive a bad quality output. So when the bad quality outcome comes, the client says that I was right in not trusting this private security agency, right? So we are back to square one. The client started with not trusting you as a security provider, and this became a self-fulfilling prophecy where your output became such which only reinforced this distrust that your client had right at the beginning of this discussion. And this keeps going on and on in a circle, and this is what I call the circle of distrust. The end result of the circle of distrust is that private security agencies keep struggling, because the moment the client starts distrusting you more and more, they will simply replace you. Again, we have seen the competitive landscape, thousands of private security agencies standing right outside your client's gate. So they have multiple options to replace you, which is why private security agencies are the ones who are at the receiving end of this circle of distrust. But what is the core problem, right? So we have understood that the revenue curve of a PSA is the cost curve of the client, which is what is giving rise to the circle of distrust, which is leading to private security agencies to struggle. But there is still another layer to this. The core problem is that most private security agencies are operations led. It means that you, as a private security agency, are sleepwalking, which means that your eyes are closed, you are in a trance, you are definitely getting somewhere because you are walking, but that destination is not of your choosing because you are sleepwalking. So, what happens when a private security agency is operations led? It all boils down to day firefighting taking center stage. So, as a private security agency owner, if you are running an operations led agency, you will keep getting involved into day to day firefighting. Some guard left from there, manpower shortage here, some other compliance issue there, and you will just keep spending more and more time in these tasks managing operations, and that is what will exhaust you. Add to this that you have no time for systems or long term strategic thinking because you are so involved in managing operations, in managing day to day firefighting. You have no time to really build your business in a way which is built on systems and strategic thinking, right? Add to this that business decisions revolve around client demands and not vision. Since you don't have your own business strategy, since you don't have your own vision, you will keep changing your offerings or the way you deliver your offerings based on what the clients tell you, right? And trust me, in an industry like security, it should not be your clients telling you how you should be doing your job. You are the security experts. You must be the security partners. You should be telling the client that this is how this particular job needs to be done. But it is mostly the other way around. Add to this that this leads to reactive, repetitive execution and not innovation. Because you don't have time to think about anything else. You only have times to manage day to day operations, which also will involve arbitrary demands from your clients. And you keep tending to those demands, which leads to reactive, repetitive execution, and there's no scope or room for innovation. All of this boils down to private security agencies copying others and competing even harder. Now, let's say there is a private security agency who's working on this business model, which is headcount driven. Then comes another private security agency who has the same business model. That means that any new private security agency coming into the industry with the same business model is now going to compete with thousands of other private security agencies existing already in the industry, working already on the same business model. So, this is what is happening because most private security agencies are sleepwalking. They are ending up competing with each other directly and harder, and they are still stuck in that race to the bottom. And this hurts everyone, right? It is not just the private security agency who gets hurt. By the way, private security agencies get hurt the most, but overall the ecosystem also suffers. So clients lose faith in the industry. That is the norm, right? If you talk to a lot of end clients, they do not respect security as a service. They only feel that security today is something that they need to have because of some compliance requirement or some insurance related requirements, and it is just a cost item for them, right? Then PSAs burnout, chasing low margin work. There are a lot of private security agencies who start with a lot of enthusiasm and gusto, but end up succumbing to market conditions due to all that we have seen in this video thus far, right? Because it is all low margin work. Then good agencies can't grow sustainably because good agencies, as I said, cannot differentiate themselves based on the good quality work they're doing because security as a function is not tangible. So they also must compete with bad quality agencies who are anyway giving bad quality resources and competing on price. So good agencies can't grow sustainably. And then there is reputation damage for all. The whole sector, the whole industry gets a bad name because nobody is happy. The end clients are not happy with the quality of security that they are receiving. The private security agencies are not happy with the kind of money that they are making or trying to make. The guards are not happy because they are being exploited. The government is not happy because they can see compliance gaps. So nobody is really happy, and that leads to reputation damage for all. That is where the ecosystem suffers. But here's the solution. And as I said, it is not what you think. A lot of people say that the solution for the private security industry to grow is actually in private security agencies coming together and deciding that they will not work below a certain level of service charge, which is in business parlance called cartelization. By the way, this practice is illegal in open markets such as ours. This is not allowed, and even practically, this is not enforceable. With thousands of private security agencies competing with each other, and they know that price is the only way that they can compete, do you think that this agreement will stand even if it were to happen in the first place? Even if all private security agencies decide one day that 10% is what we are going to charge as a minimum, there will be a few agencies who will want to charge 8% and take out more market share because they know everybody else is charging 10%, right? And this is also known as the prisoner's dilemma. You can Google it up, or maybe I'll cover it in another video. But the solution is not cartelization. So, what is it? The solution is that your private security agency must be strategy led. See, you have to realize that there is no magic pill that you swallow a pill today and all your pains, all your problems go away just like that. These problems that I just spoke about have been existing in the industry for multiple decades now. So, a solution to such problems will also be slightly long drawn, but anybody who starts today can for sure benefit in the next 2 to 5 years because the landscape of the private security industry altogether is going to change. So, what should you do? So, you must define your ICP clearly. ICP is also known as ideal client profile. Who is it that you really want to provide security services to? Who is your ideal client? Define that clearly. Add to that a strong business model built on innovation. So you have to build this strong business model. Today, private security agencies do not have a business model. All they have is an operations led way of working. It is not called a business model. And by the way, whatever they are doing, all other thousands of private security agencies are doing the same, right? So there must be innovation in how you are providing your services in the market. What those innovations could be will again depend on your ICP. Who is it that you are really wanting to cater to? Based on that client profile, you will define what is the business model that will help you attract those kind of clients. Add to this, creating non-price differentiation and attracting better clients, right? So the whole idea is that you have to create differentiators, you have to create USPs that are not price based. When you start saying in the market that you are the cheapest, then you can never claim that you are the best, right? So you must be claiming that you are the best based on something else, not price. What that something else is again will depend on your ICP. Do they really need better quality guards? Then that becomes your differentiation. Or do they really need tech driven security solutions? Then that becomes your non price differentiation. Or do they want an integration of both? Then that becomes your differentiation. So you will have to decide based on your ICP what your non price differentiator has to be, sync it with a business model based on innovation, and then attract more and more of your ideal client profiles. But this can only happen once you have a robust strategy in place. And the last thing here is that you have to invest in your brand and systems. You have to make your business in a way that lets you move out of operations and into strategy. If, as a private security agency owner, you are not focusing on the growth of your private security agency, but only focusing on day-to-day operations, then my friend, you are losing out, and you will keep competing in that race to the bottom and keep struggling like the other thousands of private security agencies are. So you must invest in your brand and your systems. And by the way, this also can become a really strong non-price differentiator for your private security agency if this is done the right way. So if you do these things, what will it lead to? It will lead to you leaving that race to the bottom behind and winning in the industry. See, you could be comfortable with wherever you are today. You could be complacent, and by all means, you can continue doing what you have been doing this far. But if you are a private security agency who has that hunger in the belly to become an industry dominator and an industry leader, then these are the steps that you will have to take. There is no other way. So you must understand that you need to stop competing and start winning. Who are we? We are 360 PSA, and we are here to make your PSA simply the best. We are business consultants for private security agencies, and we work with only a selected few private security agencies. We do not want a crowd at 360 PSA. We only look for people who have extreme sense of ownership, who relentlessly pursue success, and who know that disruption is the only way for growth. So if you are a private security agency like that, our credentials are on your screen. Get in touch.